welcome to me and my uncle.
NFL Weekly Rundown, Week 17. We gave a little bit of a Christmas theme with our background, mostly because we forgot to take the helmets out of the cabinet here before we put up the football backdrop. So, how are you?
Pretty good.
Ready for Christmas?
Yep.
I think so, yeah. It's going to be fun opening presents tonight, isn't it?
Mhm.
Cool. How much football stuff did you ask for?
Like one.
One?
Well, I did ask for a Jameer Gibbs jersey and DJ Moore
Oh,
jersey.
okay, cool.
So maybe
Maybe.
make that three.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about a few of the games that happened last week. Denver Chargers, did you see that one on Thursday night?
Yeah, I think a little bit.
Yeah, did you see the free kick that the Chargers tried at the end
The
of
what?
the free kick? It barely ever happens. There was a play at the end of the half where the Broncos punted and they were way backed up. So they punted it and the Chargers said, "We take a fair catch." Okay?
Okay.
If you fair catch a punt, you can try a free kick on the next play, which is like a field goal, only with nobody rushing it. You just get to kick it. The holder just holds it, and the kicker just kicks it. And he nailed it.
He did?
Dicker made it,
it?
Cameron Dicker. Not to make it because it was only the end of the half, but it was kind of it really showed that the coach knew what he was doing. Like, you never see that. In fact, it had been like 1976, the year I was born, that somebody actually made one of those free kicks in a game.
Wow.
It had been 48 years since that was done successfully in a game.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and Denver was winning until the fourth quarter, and then Herbert, I know he threw a touchdown pass, and then maybe they ran for one, but Chargers won. The Saturday games, Houston lost to Kansas City, so that wasn't surprising. Did you see any of that one?
19 to...
27.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Tank Dell. Did you see him get hurt?
He did.
He caught a touchdown pass and he dislocated his knee. It was so ugly. It was like, why are you showing the replay?
Was
That
there
is so
blood?
no blood. But I mean, his knee was bent in a direction that it is not supposed to go. It was ugly. It was ugly.
I did not see that.
Yeah, so his season's done. So that hurts.
Am I happy that I didn't see it?
You should be happy. In fact, I can't believe that the NBC kept showing it and showing it. I think they were showing it because it was close to a touchdown, but close to out of bounds. So they kind of had to determine, did he stay in? And he did. He got the touchdown. But then they kept showing the replay, and it's like, oh, look at his leg. Oh, God, yuck. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, that was kind of a butt kicking. 34-17. It was kind of all Lamar or all Henry. Not as much Russell Wilson. How about, oh boy, Lions, Bears. Did you catch that one?
Maybe I'm happy that I didn't.
Yeah, it was, again, the Bears started so slow. It was 20-0. They got in a 20-0 hole. It's just ugly. It's terrible. Luckily, I'm glad there are only 2 games left for me to have to watch.
Yep.
I bet you watched the Vikings in Seattle. Great game.
Great game.
Back and forth. Darnold and Jefferson at the end.
Yeah.
And how about how Darnold was kind of like under duress and he stepped up in the pocket and just zipped that ball to Jefferson. Way
That
downfield.
was a great game.
Great game, and they held on. We were talking a little bit about the Sunday night game, Tampa and Dallas. Surprise! Buccaneers lost.
Yeah.
And then last night, oh man, I hope you didn't waste your time watching that. Packers 34,
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
Saints 0.
That was the end of the game?
That was the score. 34 donut. Ugly. Okay, you're going to be happy to hear about the picks last week. Remember, I picked 3 games different than you?
Yeah.
You won all 3 of them. So last week you won 13, lost 3. I won 10, lost 6. The 3 that you missed, we both missed. I think. We both missed Philadelphia against Washington.
Oh yeah, that was a surprise.
Another great comeback from the Commanders. We both missed Arizona against Carolina. Couldn't have expected that one to happen. We both missed Tampa Bay against Dallas. Another surprise.
So those are my 3.
Those are your 3, and then I lost Tennessee against Indianapolis. Oops.
Indiana.
I know, oops. Jacksonville against the Raiders didn't happen. And the 49ers lost at Miami. So now on the season, 167 wins. 167 wins. Dead heat. Tie ball game with 2 weeks to play in the regular season. Against the spread, you crushed me last week against the spread.
Ooh.
I lost 10 games, you lost 6. And on the season now, 127 wins against the spread, 120. So
I'm winning by 7.
you looks like, and actually better than 7 because you have 15 fewer losses than me. It's just you have a lot more ties. You picked a few. Remember I told you last week if you pick it right on the spread, a lot of the time you don't get a win or a loss.
Yeah.
So I've just been giving you ties in that case. But you have a better record no matter how you slice it. So, 2 games on Christmas tomorrow. Are you ready to talk about them?
Which I'm probably not going to watch because, it's Christmas.
And they're big games, but they're not as huge as you actually think because all these teams are already in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But who plays first?
Chiefs, Steelers.
Okay, the Chiefs beat Houston 27-19, like we said. They need one more win either this week or next week against Denver to clinch the number 1 spot in the AFC playoffs. If you get the number 1 spot in either the AFC or the NFC, you get a bye week. You don't have to play the first week of the playoffs. So it's usually good. You can get some guys healthy. You get a week of rest. You just get to sit back and watch. So they need 1 win in the next 2. Pittsburgh lost at Baltimore, but they're still first place in the AFC North over the Ravens, even with the best record, because Steelers have a better AFC record than the Ravens. So you'll see the Steelers at 3 and the Ravens at 5. But if Pittsburgh loses a game, it'll open the door for the Ravens to actually win the AFC North. It could happen. So, what are your thoughts about this pretty big game among AFC division leaders?
Well, I'm not expecting a lot out of the Steelers because the Chiefs.
They just find ways to win, don't they? Is that so? You're predicting a win for Kansas City? Me too.
Well, I'm not expecting. When I said I'm not expecting a lot from the Steelers, I meant I don't think they're gonna do a lot against the Chiefs.
It's tough. I mean, it's usually a hard game for whoever's got Kansas City. So.
Chiefs 27, Steelers 21.
Okay, I'm pretty close to you. I've got the Chiefs also covering the 3-point spread. I'll take Kansas City 24 and the Steelers 19. All right, second game on Christmas.
Ravens, Texans.
Lamar Jackson threw 3 touchdown passes. Derrick Henry had 162 yards running in their pretty big win over the Steelers last Saturday. Houston lost the game against Kansas City, lost Tank Dell to that gruesome injury. They did sign this guy, Deontay Johnson, who in the last year has been on the Steelers, Panthers, Ravens, and now the Texans.
Wow.
He got traded a few times. I think the Ravens cut him because he was complaining about not getting the ball.
He's decent.
Well, he's decent, but he really has not done anything for anybody he's played for this year. The Texans kind of need him because Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, really they're down to Nico Collins, and you know he's
I
their
mean,
only-
Nico Collins is really good.
good. Only top. He's one of their top 3 that's healthy though. You know that's going to play the rest of the season. So that's kind of tough for the Texans. They're going to have to figure it out. I show even in Houston, the Ravens are 5-point favorites. That's pretty big. So how do you see this game going down in H-Town? Houston. Let's just call it H-Town.
Ravens 29, Texans 21.
Okay. I am similar to you. I'm going to have a 7-point score. Ravens 27, Texans 20. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Thursday night.
Steelers, Bears.
No, not Steelers.
Seahawks, Bears.
Seahawks, Bears. Okay. The Seahawks against the Vikings. Back and forth and back and forth until the fourth quarter. And then Seattle missed a really long field goal to try to tie it.
Oh, yeah.
And then they ended up getting
It was
the
like 60 yards.
60 yards. I was surprised they were trying that. Like, the only time you try a 60-yarder is usually if you're inside. I mean, wasn't it raining that day, too?
I think.
Like, I would say the chances of making a 60-yard field goal in the rain are just, like, 0, practically. Yeah, that was a long shot and a pretty crazy decision by Seattle to kick that, to even try it.
Was it, what down was it? Was it
It was
fourth?
4th, and maybe it was too far to go for. Maybe that was the problem, is that if it was like 4th and 12 or something, maybe they just decided, well, we might as well try to kick this field goal and get some points.
And also, he was pretty close to making it, the kicker.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't it on target, but it was just short?
Yeah.
Is that what
it was
happened?
like,
A couple yards short.
yeah.
Yep. And then Geno Smith ended up throwing an interception when they got the ball back, and
Yeah.
that sealed it. That was it for Seattle. So now, if you see, they're a game behind the Rams in the playoffs. They're gonna need a win, and maybe some. I think they need the Rams to lose a game too, maybe. Okay, the Bears losing 20-0 in the first 17 minutes. I will say this: it's come down to this. All I care about the next 2 games is Caleb Williams getting better. And I will say this, these numbers are pretty good. Caleb Williams on the season, 19 touchdown passes, only 5 interceptions. I mean, if we're looking at silver linings for this season, like, yeah, it stinks that they're 4-11. At least I feel like Caleb Williams is going to be a good quarterback for them.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with the Bears. Now, do I think they're going to win this game? Well, what do you think? How about you tell me first?
The Bears, I like,
Yep,
yes. But they're horrible.
the big butt. Yep. They are pretty horrible.
And they do have good players, but they just can't do it well.
I don't understand. Yeah, if they do have the good players, why aren't they getting wins? It just doesn't make sense, does it? Yeah.
Like, at least be a better team than the Jets.
Jets. I mean, and how about this? Do better than losing 9 games in a row. Like, how many teams are going to have a good season if you lose 9 in a row? You're not.
Yeah.
Ugly. I mean, look who they're tied with now in the NFC.
Panthers.
Ugh. So, you got a score for this Thursday night clash?
I wouldn't really call it a clash.
How about pillow fight? How about tussle?
Sure.
Yeah, you'll take tussle. This Thursday night tussle, what's going to happen?
Like I said, the Bears, I don't trust them.
I wouldn't either. I'm not picking them.
Seahawks 26. That's a weird score. I'll just-
It can happen. It could happen.
Actually,
Yeah, why not? Why not? A little risky.
26-20.
Yeah, shuffle it up a bit. Okay, I'm gonna give the Seahawks a little bit bigger of a win. How about 27-16? Bears, just get this game over with. Get on to the last game. Get out of here healthy. Okay, 3 games on Saturday, and at least each game features a team in the playoffs right now, if the season were to end today. So a pretty big Saturday of games.
Chargers, Patriots.
The Chargers, like I said, fourth quarter comeback against Denver. They are just 1 win away from a playoff spot. And they play New England here this week, and I think they play the Raiders next week. So chances are the Chargers are going to get one of these wins that they need to get into the playoffs. New England, 3-12, eliminated from the AFC. Drake May against Buffalo. We didn't really talk about that game. It was close. Like, Buffalo only won 24-21.
Buffalo did not have a great game.
They didn't. And Drake May had a really great start to the game. They were winning 14-0 right out of the gate. Then he made a few mistakes that rookies tend to make. He threw an interception in the end zone when they were going for a touchdown. And then they were way backed up, and he threw one backwards to their running back that the running back didn't catch. And then it was like everybody was standing around, and the Bills just picked it up, and it's like, hey, that's a lateral, that's a fumble, and that's a touchdown. So the Bills scored a defensive touchdown on a play when May and his running back weren't on the same page when they threw it. So a little good, a little bad. That's kind of typical of rookies, you know. Drake May, bad record, but I would be encouraged if I was a New England Patriot fan about who my quarterback was. So I show Chargers favored by 5.5 in Foxborough on Saturday afternoon. Foxborough, Massachusetts is where the Patriots play. New England is kind of like a region. It's Massachusetts, it's Vermont, it's New Hampshire. It's kind of all those little states up there in the Northeast. Connecticut, probably. So they just kind of call them, they represent the entire region of the United States. But they play in Foxborough, Massachusetts. What's going to happen in Foxborough?
Well, I have the Patriots fighting to get a win. But it's not going to be enough, I don't think. Yeah?
You have the Patriots covering? Well, you don't. But you have a one-possession game.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Chargers 27, Patriots 20.
I'm going to give the Patriots 20 points also. I'm going to give the Chargers 21 points. So Chargers win, but I think it's going to be close, and I think Drake May will go down fighting. I think he's going to make it close. All right, you had said when we were looking through the games, this is a
pretty good game.
This is a big game. Who is it?
Broncos, Bengals.
The Broncos, another team like the Chargers, they need 1 win in their next 2 games to make the playoffs. I think they could technically lose both games and make the playoffs, but they need help.
Who are they playing?
Next week, Kansas City. Oh, so
they lost by Chris Jones blocking.
Or was it Chris Jones? It was I think it was Leo Chenal maybe blocked it.
Leo Chenal blocked a field goal at the end, which could have had the Broncos win it.
Right. And what the Broncos might be cheering for, I mean, if the Broncos lose to Cincinnati, they may want the Chiefs to beat Pittsburgh because then the Chiefs have a chance of just resting everybody next week. If the Chiefs are already locked into the number 1 spot and they have nothing to gain, they might just rest Mahomes. They might rest Kelsey. Chris Jones. Chris Jones got hurt though, actually. But all their good guys who are healthy, they'll probably rest them. And then Denver will get to play against a bunch of backups. So that's what Denver must be hoping for if they lose to the Bengals. They can take care of their own business if they just beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati, to stay alive in the AFC West, they did beat Cleveland last week. Joe Burrow, I think I read that this is a record. He's thrown for at least 250 yards and at least 3 touchdowns the last 3 games. Those are big numbers that Joe Burrow's putting up. And he leads the NFL in, I think, passing yards and passing touchdowns. So you can see, if the Bengals were to beat the Broncos 8-8, 9-7, these teams would be within one game of each other. So that's why it's so big, because the Broncos can bury the Bengals, and they could actually bury the Colts and Dolphins along the way, too. But beating the Bengals here would just end the Bengals' chances at a playoff
The
spot.
Broncos could be really rude, or they could cry and not be happy.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what, so have you made a decision? It looks like you got a close game.
I have Bengals. This is mostly because it's in Cincinnati. I'm picking them.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals 21, Broncos 20.
Does it have anything to do with you being more of a Bengals fan?
No.
Nothing to do with that? Okay. Purely on what you believe is going to happen. Nothing with your heart. Okay. I'm going to agree with you that the Bengals are going to win. Again, it's in Cincinnati. So I'll take the Bengals 28-24. I think Joe Burrow will keep those playoff hopes going for at least another week. Okay, the game on Saturday night would have been really big if one of the teams could have won their game last week, but instead, they beat the Jets. Yeah, they beat the Jets.
Cardinals, Rams.
Cardinals lost in overtime at Carolina, surprisingly, and that eliminated them from the NFC playoffs. The Rams, a win over Arizona would likely win them the division. It's not for sure, because it still kind of depends on what the Seahawks do, and I think some other games, because the tiebreaker between the Rams and the Seahawks gets really confusing. Let's see. When these teams are division rivals. They played way back in week 2 in Arizona, I think. It was Cardinals 41, Rams 10. Ooh.
Holy cow.
But I wonder, did the Rams, they probably didn't have Puka. And
yeah.
I don't remember if they had Cup or not week 2. They might have. But they weren't at full strength. So, this is a big game for the Rams. It is not big for the Cardinals anymore.
I'm picking. I think I'm gonna pick Rams.
Okay.
27-26.
Good game.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have 27 points for the Rams as well. I'm going to give the Cardinals 23. So,
Okay, so a field goal.
field goal
Well,
different from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got a 1-point game. I've got a 4-point game. Both of us have the Cardinals covering the 5.5-point spread. Okay, I see. Well, yeah. Let's tell me what the game is, because there was another game that was flipped to 3 o'clock. So I might
Jets,
not.
Bills.
That's the game I've got. Okay. Jets, Bills. The Jets are 4-11. They were eliminated from the AFC. They scored a whopping 9 points against the Rams. So, not going to win a lot of games with 9 points. The Bills, if Kansas City were to beat Pittsburgh, well, whatever that is. Okay. Oh, she must not have put it on. No, do not disturb. If Kansas City beats Pittsburgh, the Bills will know that they are either the number 2 seed or the number 3 seed. They will not be able to get the 1 seed if Kansas City wins tomorrow. Okay, another big spread. This one only 10 after the Bills kind of disappointed. They had a 14-point spread last week, and they only won by 3 against New England.
Yeah.
So I think Josh Allen, his hand, it's his left hand though. They think he might have actually broken bones in his left hand, and he's just playing.
Does
just
he
keeps playing.
throw with his right?
Yeah, he's righty. He also got hit right on the funny bone, which isn't too funny when it actually happens because you lose feeling in your hand. So a lot in the second half, he was just kind of shaking his hand and trying to flex it and trying to get feeling back in it just so he could. And he played the whole game. So he's kind of banged up. But still, I think he's on pace to win the MVP. So what's going to happen in Buffalo in front of Bills Mafia on Sunday?
Ah, Bela.
Oh, Joker.
I'm picking Bills 30 to 21.
Okay.
So I have the Jets winning the point spread.
Yeah, just barely, but you do have it. And I'm going to have the Jets covering the point spread too. I'll take the Bills 24, Jets 17. I think the Bills are really just trying to, it's just like, get us to the playoffs. Just get to the playoffs when the games matter.
I mean, the Bills are number 2 seed.
They're in pretty good shape.
AFC.
I'd say they're in good
So-
shape. And they're not going to fall much beyond, I don't think they can fall lower than 3.
What division do they? Oh, they have pretty bad people in their division.
Yeah, they haven't had a very tough,
Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots.
yeah, not very stiff competition this year. But, okay. I don't know what game you have on your sheet, but it might be one of the
Titans,
terrible.
Jags.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay,
Titans, Jaguars, if I didn't say that loud enough.
3-12. The Titans are 3-12, eliminated from the AFC. Jacksonville's 3-12, eliminated from the AFC playoffs. The Titans, remember, they were my big upset pick last week. At one point, they were losing 38-7 in that game to the Colts, and they lost 38-30. So they got it really close down to the wire. But the Colts ended up getting a first down and iced the game away. Can you get lower than Jacksonville losing to the Raiders last week? Oof. That's a pretty bad loss.
Yeah.
So the last time these teams played was week 14, and the Jags won a stinker, 10-6. Do you see the point spread is only Jags by half a point?
That's impossible.
You can't win by half a point. So really what they're saying is,
It's gonna be a tie.
well, yeah, or
Or-
a 1 point win, right? Something like that. So it's going to be close. Who do you have winning this? What's probably going to be another stinker?
Jags 21, Titans 20. I'm just saying it because I don't care about this.
I got a 1 point game too. I'll take Jags 14, Titans 13. Might never pick the Titans again after they, were my upset
And
pick
maybe
last
the
week.
Jags.
Yeah, the Jags are hard to pick. I guess
We
when these
have
teams
to.
when these teams play each other, we have to pick
And
somebody.
I might never pick the Raiders, which is in a few
That's
games.
Funny because I picked the Jags 2 weeks in a row. I beat them. I picked them to win this game, and I picked them to win last week against the Raiders, and they lost. So, oops. Okay, another game on Sunday afternoon.
Kind of not a great game, but I'll just say the game first.
Yeah,
Panthers, Buccaneers.
and it's an interesting game because the
Last
Panthers are
time they played, which wasn't too long ago, right?
week 13.
And the Panthers, it went into overtime, but the Buccaneers won, right?
Yeah, and the Panthers, if you remember, Bryce Young threw a beautiful pass to Adam Thielen. They were in field goal range. They handed it off to their star running back, Chuba Hubbard, and he fumbled.
Fumbles.
He fumbled. And then the Buccaneers drove the field and kicked a field goal. But this last game against Arizona, Bryce Young threw for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chuba Hubbard ran for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. And had the game-winning touchdown in overtime to knock the Cardinals out of the playoffs. So the Panthers are playing way better football.
I mean, they are 4-11.
But think about, like, the Bears are 4-11, and they don't look like they can beat anybody
Yeah.
right now. The Panthers,
Look
they-
like they can maybe win a few games.
yeah, I mean, they beat the Cardinals. Who else did they beat? Well, they beat a couple teams lately, right? So,
Like,
you remember they fought the Chiefs down to a last-second
yeah.
field goal? So, the Panthers are battling. Tampa Bay, disappointing and surprising loss at Dallas. Now puts Atlanta back in the number 1 spot in the NFC South and has the Buccaneers actually out of the playoffs. So the Buccaneers are going to have the Falcons lose along the way, and the Buccaneers are going to have to win their next 2 games. I think next week, so the Buccaneers play Carolina, and then they play New Orleans next week. So the Bucks have that's not a difficult path. But the Panthers are playing frisky here. So they played to overtime last time. What do you think goes down in Tampa this time?
Well, I mean, I'm picking Tampa, but I don't know.
You don't know?
I might just change my score thinking about how the Panthers are playing now.
Yeah, make it kind of close.
So you should say your score.
Okay, I'll say my score first. I was going to say Tampa 28, Panthers 24. I think the Buccaneers will be able to keep it.
Wait, what is it?
I picked 28-24.
I have kind of a close score.
Yeah.
20 Buccaneers, 23 Panthers, 21.
23-21 Tampa you got? Okay, good. Well, we both got Carolina covering the spread. We both think Carolina's good enough to kind of keep it close, but not good enough to win the game. Okay, what is your next game? I think this is where we get a little different on our sheets.
Raiders, Saints.
Oof, yeah. I have this one. Okay, Vegas. They beat the Jags, but it actually is kind of like they lost because they hurt their chances to get the number 1 pick now, which you never really want your team to lose. But there were Raiders fans who were saying this week, like, why didn't you just lose that game? Because we need a quarterback so bad. And if the Raiders had just kept losing, they would have gotten one of the top 2 quarterbacks, them or the Giants. But now, because the Raiders won, I don't exactly know where they stack up with all these 3-12 teams. There are 5 of them. So I don't know where the Raiders would be picking right now. So the win actually kind of screws up their draft. But you know what? Their coach doesn't care. He had to be bleeped out when he talked in the press conference about what he thought about, the draft positioning. He's had some choice words for the reporter who asked that question. The Saints were the first team to be shut out this season in 2024 by the Packers on Monday night, and Spencer Rattler, after playing pretty good against Washington for a half,
Played horrible.
played brutally. He was abysmal. Yep.
Abysmal.
Abysmally. Abysmal. You kind of mixed abysmal with terrible. You kind of put 2 words together, I think, or horrible. You're combining words, but that's fine. Okay, they do think this game is going to be close. They say Saints by 1.5. What are you feeling?
I'm picking Saints 27-20.
Okay, our first difference.
Oh gosh.
I don't know why anybody would pick the Raiders to win 2 games in a row here. But I think it's going to happen mostly because after watching, I only watched half of that game last night. Spencer Rattler does not look ready for action. And the Saints 34-0. I mean, show some fight. So I'm going to take Raiders 14-12. I think it's going to be ugly, but I trust the Raiders just a little more.
I'm putting that there because this keeps sticking.
Sticking. Wonder what's on there.
Okay.
Next game?
Cowboys, Eagles.
Oh yeah, yep, you're right. Cowboys, Eagles. Cowboys were eliminated from the NFC, but they still played really hard on Sunday night, and they upset the Buccaneers. So the Cowboys were a spoiler. You're a spoiler when you're out of the playoffs, but you beat a team who's trying to get into the playoffs. That's playing spoiler. So that's impressive from Dallas that they actually showed up in a game that didn't mean anything to them once they were eliminated. Philadelphia, they led Washington 27-14 in the 4th quarter, and they lost 36-33. And last game, Jalen Hurts got hurt, concussion. Not sure if he's going to play against. Kenny Pickett came in, and he then hurt his ribs.
He did?
Yeah, so I think the next guy was named Tanner McKee, but I don't think he ever came into the game.
I have his card.
Do you have his card? I don't know that he's ever even played in a game.
I think he maybe was drafted not too long ago because I have his college.
I want to say maybe last year. Yeah, something like that. Maybe even 2 years ago. But I don't know if it's going to be Hurts, Pickett, or McKee as we sit here on Tuesday afternoon. My honest opinion is I think any of them might be able to beat Dallas. But Dallas did battle there on Sunday night against Tampa. So what do you see happening in Philly?
If it's McKee, Pickett, or Hurts, they're gonna win.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Eagles 28, Cowboys 19.
Okay. I forgot to tell you, the last time these teams played was Week 10. Philly won 34-6. I can't remember if Dak.
Oh,
I don't even remember if Dak played or not.
Dak is out for the season.
He's out, so it's been Cooper Rush lately. Who actually, I mean, they beat Tampa, so you know.
Cooper Rush is playing decent.
He's not the worst backup quarterback in the league. I'll give him that. I'm going to take the Eagles too, and I'm also going to take the Cowboys to cover the spread. We'll go 27-20. So I think there's one more game at noon, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colts Giants.
Yeah. I do, yep. Okay, so Jonathan Taylor, 1 week after blowing that game against Denver where he dropped the ball before he ran into the end zone, well, he kind of made up for it against the Titans. 218 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. And some really long ones. I think he had a 70-yarder, maybe a 50-some-yarder. He was showing his explosiveness where he just, if you give him a hole, he might be gone. It might just be house call.
I would say maybe the 3 best running backs of this year. Maybe Jonathan Taylor.
Maybe.
Derek and Barkley.
Okay. I would say the first 2, or the ones you named, Barkley and Henry, that's just a gimme.
Sure.
That's for sure. The third one, yeah, we could debate that one, but I think Taylor's at least somebody you'd throw in the mix. What about Jacobs from the Packers?
I hate to say it, but
yeah, I mean he'd be in the mix. Kyron Williams from the Rams, maybe.
James Cook has been playing pretty good.
Pretty good for Buffalo. Yeah, so I mean the third name would probably be kind of up for grabs. Oh, Jahmyr Gibbs. How about him?
Yeah, for sure.
I think he'd be better than Taylor, maybe.
Or, I mean, I would say the best team with running backs are definitely the Lions.
Yeah, they're too deep.
Gibbs and Montgomery.
They complement each other well too because Montgomery is kind of the hammer in the middle.
And he's really strong.
Really strong.
Gibbs
can take
really
it outside
fast.
and go fast down the sidelines.
If they were like one person, they would be explosive.
Combine those two, you'd have a little bowling ball like Montgomery who could just run outside.
Fast and strong.
Oof.
Is like, I don't even know if there's a fast and strong running back right now.
Oh man. Well, yeah.
Henry isn't so fast.
He's the bruiser. He's got that stiff arm where he will just boom, just almost punch the guys out of the way.
And Barkley is fast and pretty strong.
He's got kind of the blend. I think he's sort of the perfect combo of speed and power.
Yeah.
And how about his elusiveness where he can just jump backwards over a guy? Oh,
that's crazy.
Don't see that happen every day. Okay, I'll just say a little bit about the Giants. They lost to Atlanta, but because Vegas beat the Jags, now the Giants are sitting there with the #1 pick in next year's draft. So that's a good spot to be. That guy Travis Hunter from Colorado, who plays both cornerback and wide receiver, he won the Heisman Trophy. He might be the best player. But you think the Giants might need a quarterback. Like they might just need to take a quarterback and pass on Hunter.
Then maybe it would be
I don't know who would take the Patriots maybe.
I mean,
they'd take Hunter.
Because they have Drake May.
Right, and then the Raiders, they'd probably be looking at the second best quarterback.
Maybe.
So.
And Browns kind of need a quarterback.
Yeah, I wonder what they will do with Watson. I don't know.
I mean, they could take what's his name? Wide receiver.
Hunter.
Yeah, they could take him if they really wanted him, but they would also be looking at a QB.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when we get there. There's still a few games to be left to be played to sort out where they all draft. So it'll make more sense when we know. Like if the Browns are 6, I don't know that they should be thinking quarterback. If the Browns are like 2 or 3, they're right in the spot to take a quarterback. You know. What game are we even on? I kind of got sidetracked there. Well, we were talking about the Giants. Tell me your score in the Colts-Giants game.
Colts 28, Giants 21.
Okay, you got it closer than the spread, so you got the Giants covering the spread. I got we got about 4 games left, I think. Colts 24, Giants 13, and my sister, your mother, is making us laugh. Okay, is this the 3:05 game, I believe, right here?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me what it is.
Dolphins, Browns.
Yep, we're good from now on. Yep. Okay, so if the Chargers and Broncos both win on Saturday, the Dolphins will be out. My preseason Super Bowl pick will move from in the hunt to eliminated.
Would it be at the top of the eliminated?
They'd be at the top above the Jets, yeah, for sure. And Cleveland, 3-12, eliminated from the AFC. I mean, the Bengals defense stinks, and DTR and the Browns offense could only score 6 points against the Bengals' crummy defense. So, how do you see this game going down in Cleveland on Sunday afternoon?
I can't pick the Browns this year anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
Unless they play like the Giants.
Yeah, I think their last game is against the Ravens, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I'm definitely not picking them again.
No.
No, I can't. Dolphins 27, Browns 21.
Okay, so you've got the Cleveland Browns covering the spread. I'm going to take the Browns to cover the spread also, but like you, I can't pick them to win the game. I'll take Dolphins.
Definitely not against the Ravens.
Not next week, no way. Although, think about it, what if the Ravens have their spot sewn up and they can play a bunch of backups?
Yeah.
Sometimes in that last week, you just never know.
And last time the Browns and Ravens played, wasn't it kind of close?
And the Browns won.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. That game was in Cleveland. But this game, I'll take Dolphins 24-20. I think they'll get it done. Okay, big game that was moved from noon to 3:25 so that the whole country can watch what NFC North battle?
Vikings, well, Packers, Vikings.
Because it's at US Bank Stadium this time. When these teams played week 4, I think the Vikings were winning 28-0 and ended up winning 31-29.
Wow.
So it got really exciting at Lambeau. We'd said this before, but Green Bay posted the first shutout of the season.
Yeah.
Spanking Spencer Rattler and the Saints. Now the Packers have scored at least 30 points in 5 straight games. And if I read that right last night when I was watching, that's the longest streak in Packers history. That's like over 100 years they haven't scored 30 points in 5 games in a row.
Wow.
So their offense is humming whether we like it or not. And you know we don't like it.
We hate it.
We hate it. The Vikings, Sam Darnold, 3 touchdown passes, 2 to Jefferson. 1 was the game winner at Seattle. That was an impressive win in the kind of mist and rain that they were playing in. Seattle gave them everything they could handle, and the Vikings just, again, come out on top. They are so good in these close games. I'm not going to say it's as good as the Chiefs, but kind of like the Chiefs. They just find ways to win these close games. They're not in as crazy fashion. I mean, think of the Chiefs are blocking field goals, or the Raiders are dropping snaps, or the Chiefs are making last-second field goals off the goalpost. So the Vikings are winning close games a little more conventionally. What do you got?
This is about the Seahawks. Who's their other wide receiver, not DK Metcalf?
Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then they
Oh,
have
yeah.
Tyler Lockett. Yeah, Smith and Jigba is in his second year, and he's having a big season. Like he's gonna be a fantasy guy who people will talk about in the first probably 3 rounds next year, I think, because he's an up and coming player. Their third receiver is Tyler Lockett. For a long time, he was a great second receiver to Metcalf, but now I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is. You'd have to call them their second receiver. You might even call them their first. I think he might have more fantasy points than DK.
My two wide receivers on one of my football games is Jigba and Nico Collins.
And Jigba and Collins, wow, those
Which
are pretty.
are both really good.
Two
And
pretty
I have
younger players.
Taysom Hill,
Oh,
really good.
as a tight end.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And
This
I
is in
think
Madden,
Michael Vick as quarterback.
Oh yeah, he's an old guy. I think I told you last year that he's the only guy with better running stats per carry than Drake May is Michael Vick. Michael Vick was if you watched a highlight package of Michael Vick, you'd just be like, wow. It was kind of like Barry Sanders at quarterback, just the way that he could move around. But okay, do you have any ideas about what's going to happen in this big game at US Bank Stadium? Like, who do you think is going to be the star? Who do you think is going to struggle? You know, what do you just give us a little context?
This is a good game. It's in Minnesota. I hate the Packers, so I'm not going to pick them.
I hate the Packers, so I will not pick them in this game. Same.
But you do kind of hate the Vikings, right?
My hate level for the Vikings has dropped over the years. My hate level at the Packers is like as high as it can get. The Vikings, maybe it would be good if my family and friends, you know, if they got to taste some success. So that's how I feel lately against the Vikings. You know, if Viking fans start rubbing it in my face, then I might be like, ooh, I don't like you guys anymore. My hate level is rising. But right now, it might be at an all-time low, how much I hate the Vikings. It's not nearly as much as I hate the Packers. Okay, enough hate this Christmas season. What did you pick your score? I forget.
I don't think so.
I don't.
Vikings 27, Packers 21, if I didn't already say that.
Well, I've got Vikings 27. I'm going to give the Packers one more field goal.
So 24.
27-24. All right, this is a big Sunday night game with two teams who right now are positioned for a playoff spot.
Yeah. Falcons, Commanders.
Yeah, Michael Penix in his first start only threw for 202 yards, threw an interception with no touchdowns. So not great, but he was helped by the Falcons intercepting 2 Drew Lock passes for pick sixes. And Bijan Robinson had a big game too. So they beat up on the Giants 34-7.
Holy
Yeah, blowout.
moly.
The Commanders had a huge comeback win against the Eagles. Can you believe this
That
too?
was amazing.
The Commanders had 5 turnovers, fumbles and interceptions.
And they still
And they won because Jaden Daniels, 5 touchdown passes.
And who was that one player that got like his first touchdown of the year or something?
Oh,
that may have won the game.
was that Zacchaeus or somebody else? I forget. I would have to.
Forgot.
Yeah, I would have to look. I can't remember if that was who caught that last one. But it was only with 6 seconds left in the
Yeah.
game, right? Oh, Jamison Crowder. Was
Oh
that it?
yeah, Crowder.
I think it was him. Yeah, he's a veteran. He's been on them for a long time. Okay, I show Washington favored by 4 in this big game. What do you think is going to happen? I think if either team wins, they clinch a playoff berth. The winner will be in the playoffs.
I am definitely changing this. I had
I see what
Falcons
you
27, Commanders 21.
had. Okay, then you think about it and it's like, wait a minute, Jaden Daniels against Michael Penix. I think I know which way you're going to change it to.
Okay.
What are you feeling?
Commanders 21, Falcons 19.
Okay, good game. I'm going to take Commanders 27, Falcons 21, and we have one game left. And this is a far cry from the NFC Championship game of last year. Not exactly as big of a game.
Last year, this was a great game.
Great game and the biggest game in the NFC, when it was a playoff game.
Because weren't the Lions destroying them like 30-something?
Yeah, it might have been like 24-7 or something like that. And then I think Jahmyr Gibbs maybe had a fumble in the early part of the second half. And it just kind of all went downhill from there for the Lions. I think they lost by like 8 or 7 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a big lead. Well, who's playing, first of all?
Lions, Niners.
Yeah. Goff, 300 yards, 3 touchdown passes. Gibbs, 100 yards running and a touchdown against the Bears. And it was such an easy game for them. I mean, they had a play. Did you see the play where Goff pretended to fall down and Gibbs pretended to fall down? And then Goff got right up and threw it to their tight end Laporta for a 20-yard touchdown.
No.
They just faked the Bears out. Where the Bears are, I don't know if the Bears are so dumb or if it was such a great play by the Lions, but the Bears just bid on it. When Goff fell over, everybody just kind of stopped. And then Gibbs falls over, and you're like, what is going on? And then Goff just smoothly, whoop, nope, touchdown. It was an impressive play. Yeah, whether it happened against the Bears or whatever. But San Francisco eliminated from the NFC. They're out. Not surprising that they're out. Boy, they have been so injured this whole year. Ayuk, all their running backs. Bosa's missed time. Yeah,
has been out for like the whole year.
I think Debo and Kittle both missed a little bit of time this year. So you can't really, it's not that surprising that they fell short of making the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Well, either way, it's a rematch of the NFC Championship game.
Purdy
missed one game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe, yeah. I don't remember if he missed part of another game, but he definitely didn't start that game against Green Bay.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's a big game for Detroit because the Vikings are right on their tail, both at 13-2.
And the Vikings are playing Packers.
Both, yeah. So the Vikings probably have a tougher matchup, but this game is in San Francisco. It could be the last game the Lions have to play outdoors all season. So, score?
Lions 31, 49ers 29.
31-29. Awesome. It's a good game. So you've got San Francisco covering the spread. I'm going to have Detroit covering the spread. I'll go 30-23. So that is week 17. I think we only differed on that Vegas Saints game. So that one game is going to make the difference on who's winning going into the last week of the season. And you know how the last week of the season works. It's like some teams will be trying their hardest. Some teams will already be in the playoffs and will be playing backups. It can be hard to predict that last week of the season. You can keep that if you'd like. If you'd like to keep those standings. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I think our music is probably on the way, but I don't see your mom. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the folks before we sign off? I mean, maybe a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
There you go. And I wonder what we'll do because New Year's, I think, is also on Wednesday. So we might end up doing me and my uncle next
Is there
Tuesday afternoon.
Football games?
Not on Wednesday. I think there might be a few Saturday games next week. They might put a couple of the. What they usually do is they put the best game of the week on Sunday night, the last game of the season. Which right now it might be the Vikings and Lions, which would kind of stink for you because I bet you want to watch that whole game, and it could go pretty late. But yeah, then they also move a couple of the big games into Saturday, so they'll probably have 2 games the last week on Saturday.
I hope it is the Vikings and Lions.
Yeah, maybe they put the Vikings and Lions on Saturday, and then you could, or on Sunday.
Well, but on Saturday there might be like one 3:05 game, and maybe one noon game and one night game.
Yeah, I forget if there will be a night game. It might just be 2 afternoon games. But, well, are we just going to have to sign off, it looks like? Do you want to do this? To Caleb Williams? Grrr.
Yes.
Okay, well, happy holidays, people. I guess we'll just...
Should I stop it?
You could stop it. Yeah, sure. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a nice holidays, and we hope you find time to watch. See ya next time.